Hello and welcome to our College Affordability webinar. My name is Matt Bodenschatz, and I'll be serving as today's host. I've been with Penn Highlands as the Director of Recruiting and Admissions for the last 4 years. And prior to that, I spent 13 years at a local 4-year college, also within admissions, serving a variety of roles. Some of you may be familiar with my face. I've been in a lot of schools over the years, and I continue to visit a lot of the high schools now. And I'm joined by my colleague, Ashley Krinjek, who is going to review myths, misconceptions, common concerns, best practices regarding financial aid in the FAFSA. Ashley is the Director of Student Financial Services here at Penn Highlands, which includes the Financial Aid Office. Ashley has nearly 15 years in higher education experience at both a 4-year university and now at Penn Highlands Community College. She's been with the college since 2021. I'm going to turn it over to Ashley at this point and allow her to dive right into our topic at hand, which is FAFSA and financial aid concerns. Ashley, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Matt. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go over just some information about filing the FAFSA and how you can make college more affordable. Maybe you're on the fence about it. So we're just going to get started here. Okay, so we're going to overcome FAFSA anxiety and talk about some college affordability. Like Matt said, my name is Ashley Krinjek, and I am the Director of Student Financial Services here, and Matt will also be here to talk a little bit about Penn Highlands. So why are we here? So our goal today is really to just alleviate some of the anxiety for paying for college. So some of you may already know what you're doing after your high school graduation, and you may already have those plans set. And that's great. You've already decided that. And some of you may not be sure what you want to do after graduation. Some may not know what degree you want to pursue or what field you're interested in yet. Some may have an idea of what you want to do, but you're not sure financially if you're going to be able to make that work. So that's really why we're here. We just want to make sure that students are prepared and know all of the avenues that they can use to be financially successful to get a higher education. So what is the FAFSA? So a lot of you have probably heard the term the FAFSA lately. There's been a lot of negative news about it. The Department of Ed has made some changes to the FAFSA this year, and so there has been a few delays and some technical issues with filing the FAFSA, but it really shouldn't be anything that you're holding off on completing or delaying filing your FAFSA. Really, you want to do that as soon as possible, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here on why it's so important. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's basically your one path to get federal and state aid to pay for college. So, and this is outside of your savings. So this is money that is coming directly from federal and state funds. These are funds that you don't have to pay out of pocket necessarily. And it really gives students a way to make college affordable. The reason that we're really pushing students to file the FAFSA as soon as possible is that there are some deadlines for the FAFSA to be filed, not so much for the federal aid. So a student can file the FAFSA for a fairly long period of time and still be eligible for federal financial aid. However, the Pennsylvania State Grant through FIA, they do require most students to have their FAFSA filed prior to June 1st to make sure that you meet that deadline to get state grant funds. So the last thing that we want is for students who may be eligible for those extra state grant funds, it's free money. You don't have to pay back. It's not a loan. We don't want students to miss out on those state funds because they didn't file their FAFSA prior to the state's deadlines. So that's really what we want to make sure that we're encouraging students and parents to make sure you're filing your FAFSA as soon as possible, just so that way you're ensuring that you're getting, as much of the free money and the grant monies that you can to help alleviate some of those financial costs associated with going to college. You also want to make sure you realize that it's free. If you are Googling the FAFSA and stumble along a site that says you have to pay for it, it's not the right one. Studentaid.gov is where you file the FAFSA. It should never cost you any money to file the FAFSA. It's just what the acronym stands for. It's the free application. So If you have to pay anything to file it, make sure you contact someone because it's not the right form. Also, it doesn't affect your credit. So filing the FAFSA, we've heard some parents say they don't want it to negatively affect them. It does not cost anything for, or doesn't impact your credit score at all to file the FAFSA. It basically pulls in information regarding your income. It does look at some income information, but it has nothing to do with your credit score or affecting your credit. Also, the time constraints. Some people think it just takes too long to file the FAFSA, and that's really not the case. So we've been helping many families file the FAFSA, and really we've been able to help most students complete it in about 30 minutes or less. Some have been a little longer, a little shorter, just depending on certain situations. But really, it's a painless process, and there's so many resources and different ways for you to get help to file the FAFSA that it really shouldn't be a daunting process. So we just really want to make sure that you understand that it shouldn't be a scary process, and that filing the FAFSA is really the first step in taking the jump to higher education. You also may be thinking, if you're one of the students who is not sure what you want to do yet, maybe you haven't decided if you're going to college or which college you want to go to, it doesn't matter. You can file the FAFSA right now. So that way you're not missing out on the June 1st deadline for most PA state grant recipients. And you can list up to 20 schools. So say you're looking at a couple different schools, you're not really sure what you want to do yet, you're not sure if you've been accepted to certain schools yet, you can list up to 20 schools on the FAFSA. Only the schools that you list will get your information. So it's not like your information, your income information and tax information is out there for all institutions to see. It's only the schools that you're giving permission to get that information. So, if you're thinking of 10 different schools, put all 10 schools on there. At least your FAFSA is filed, and those schools can then help you navigate the process if you have questions. So you'll have a whole group of resources and professionals to help you navigate what financial aid you're eligible for. Speaking of that, that's another thing. A lot of parents and students think that when they file the FAFSA, they have to wait a long time to find out what they're eligible for. And really, that's not the case. So when you file the FAFSA, as long as everything has been completed successfully and there weren't any issues or validation issues, you should be able to see what you're eligible for as soon as the FAFSA is submitted for your federal aid. It'll display if you're eligible for a Pell Grant and how much it's going to be. And your direct loan information is the same for the most part, the total amount for all students. So there's not a long wait to find out what you're eligible for. Once you submit the FAFSA, you can see what you would qualify for. And again, if you're working with a guidance counselor or a financial aid administrator at a college, we can explain all of this information to you if you're filing it with us, and we'll go over that last page where it shows you your eligibility. We can go over all of this with you. So this is the type of aid that you may receive from filing the FAFSA. And this is really kind of the detailed information of why you want to file the FAFSA. So grants and scholarships, that's free money. This is money you don't have to pay back. It's free and clear to be applied to your tuition bill. There's no strings attached for the most part with all of the grants and scholarships. So your federal Pell Grant, your state grant, it's called the FSCOG, which is the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. These are all things that come directly from filing the FAFSA, and it's free money. It's not a loan. So you really want to make sure that filing the FAFSA is taking a priority so you're not missing out on these funds. So federal work study, this is another great opportunity for students. This is required to file the FAFSA to be eligible. And then it's based off of some income information. It's considered need-based aid. So once a school gets your FAFSA, and it depends on the school's eligibility for open positions for federal work study jobs at the college. But federal work study is something that a student can use to get additional funds while they're attending college. So it's flexible work hours because you're working in an office at your college. They're obviously not going to make you work additional hours if you're trying to study for finals or you have a big exam coming up. They're going to be flexible around your work schedule and your class schedule. You're also building professional references, and professional experience while working and going to school. And the best part is this money is going directly to the student. So this money does not come off your tuition bill. It goes directly as a paycheck to the student for the hours that they've worked. So it's really a great resource for students to be able to earn a little bit of money while they're attending college with a flexible work schedule. Scholarships, those are scholarships that are coming from outside entities, which a lot of scholarships are going to require students to file the FAFSA, even though it's not necessarily federal and state aid. So a lot of organizations in your community, like churches and banks, maybe the company that your parent works for, offer scholarships to students. Most of these are going to ask you to have the FAFSA filed. So even if you weren't planning on it initially, you may want to do it just to get the scholarship opportunities. Now, when you file or when you apply for a scholarship, you really want to make sure that you're giving an essay that's giving a little bit of a personal story or personal experience. The cookie cutter ones just don't always cut it. You want something that's going to make you stand out a little bit to the scholarship reviewer. So federal direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans. These are ones that are also coming directly from the FAFSA, and these are loans that a student would have to pay back. The good thing is typically the interest rate is a lower interest rate than what you would get if you went to a private loan entity. And you also don't need a credit check. So this is based off of what you filed on the FAFSA. All students are eligible for a direct loan of some sort. And you don't need a cosigner, you don't need a credit check, and it's in the student's name. So at minimum, even if you would not be eligible for a Pell Grant, you would always be eligible for a direct loan in some capacity. There's also a Parent Plus loan, which is something that we always can help a parent with if it's something they would want to do a Parent Plus loan. Again, you have to have the FAFSA filed, but this is just a loan that goes through the parent's name instead of the student. And those are usually discussed on a one-on-one consultation with the parent, if that's a good option for them. So the college price comparison is really what you want to start doing as soon as you file the FAFSA. So you file the FAFSA, you can see what you're eligible for in a Pell Grant. Now's the time to really start shopping. So the Pell Grant, which some people don't realize, is the same amount regardless of what college or university you attend. So regardless if you attend a four-year institution, if you would come to Penn Highlands as a community college, your Pell Grant is going to be the same dollar amount no matter what. So this is really where you want to start doing some shopping. Take all of your expenses, start pulling all of the tuition and fee costs for this colleges that you're interested, and see how far your actual Pell dollars and your state grant are going to go. You would be surprised once you start doing some shopping how affordable higher education can really be. There's also some college scholarships available at most colleges. So these are usually specific to that college, and those don't follow you. If you would go from one college, say you would start at Penn Highlands and you're going to transfer to a four-year institution for a bachelor's degree, the college scholarships are specific to that school. They might be athletic scholarships, they might be merit scholarships, they might be major specific. And I know Matt's going to talk a little bit about the college scholarships that Penn Highlands offers a little later. But these are also additional scholarship funds that are going to be able to come off of your tuition bill and make college affordable. Same goes with the outside scholarships that we just talked about. These are the same amount regardless of the college. So if you apply for $1,000 scholarship through a bank or your church, it's going to be $1,000 whether you attend Penn Highlands or whether you attend another college. So you really want to make sure you're making a conscious decision financially on how far all of your financially dollars can go, just to make sure you're making a reasonable decision and a financially sound decision to continue your education. So this is sort of how we would compare colleges. So I'm going to use Penn Highlands, obviously, because I'm from Penn Highlands and I have all of that information readily available to me. But when you're looking at colleges, what you want to do is most of financial aid is in a full year when we give you an award letter. So for instance, at Penn Highlands, this is based off of a Cambria County resident, and this is for a full-time student for the whole year. So that's why it has listed there 30 Penn Highlands credits. Typically, a full-time student is about 15 credits in the fall and 15 credits in the spring. So this is a 30 credit Penn Highlands student that's a Cambria County resident. This student also is eligible for a maximum Pell Grant, a maximum state grant, and the maximum FSEOG grant that Penn Highlands offers to students. So as you can see, the maximum Pell Grant is $73.95. Our maximum state grant for Cambria County students based off of this prior year was $27.52, and our FSEOG grant for the maximum amount for a full-time student was $400. However, the Penn Highlands full-time credits for a year is only about $7,100. So once you've taken all of your financial aid, and this is only the free money, this isn't any loans, this is just free money that are in grants. Once you deduct that from your Penn Highlands tuition bill, you're going to have money left over of about $3,400 that you can use for books and supplies. You can use it for housing or living costs. You can use it for transportation to get back and forth to classes or to work. You really have attended school that year debt-free. You've actually gotten a little extra money to be able to have you be successful in your higher education path. So you really want to make sure that you're reviewing all of the information that you're getting from the schools. And this doesn't include any outside scholarships. So these additional scholarships that are relative just to your college, like Matt's going to talk about a little bit later, that's not included in these grants. So you may have additional scholarship funds that are going to come off of this that would give you additional credit money to use towards books, supplies, housing, anything that you need to spend money on to be successful in going to college. So how are you going to save money going to college? So you filed your FAFSA, you found out, you're eligible for a Pell Grant, you're getting the state grant. You still want to save some money going to college, or maybe you're not eligible for a Pell Grant and you're eligible for a state grant and maybe some loan funds that you're taking out through the FAFSA. You want to make sure that you're using all avenues to financially be successful going to college. So maybe you took some dual enrollment classes through Penn Highlands or some other local colleges through your high school. You're going to want to make sure that you have your high school transcript sent to the college showing any dual enrollment courses that you may have taken. Once you get all of those transcripts together, those dual enrollment credits may be able to fill in some spots on your program that you're pursuing. And in turn, it's going to lower your tuition because the more credits you take, usually the more tuition you have to pay out of pocket or pay in some capacity. So you want to make sure that you're, making any of those dual enrollment courses, you're letting your college know that you took those so you can see if it can help in any of your degree requirements. When possible, when you go to purchase books, you want to make sure, try to get used books or rent books if they're available. This can also significantly reduce your cost whenever you're trying to cut costs going to college. Maybe you have the option to commute. So Penn Highlands, for instance, we don't have dorms. So all of our students are commuter students. So we aren't charging students housing or meal plans. Some students who are going to a college, that has resident options, if you're able to commute, it can have a significant savings on how much you're having to pay out of pocket. And then work while you're attending. So like I talked about earlier, federal work study is a great opportunity for students. Reach out to the college that you're interested in to see about your federal work study eligibility and what jobs they have available at their school for a federal work study option. Again, it works around your schedule and it's very flexible. So these are great options for students to cut costs. Also, if you're already working or if you're looking to get a job whenever you're also attending college, ask that employer if they do anything to help pay for higher education. We have a lot of companies that will help students, whether it's in a form of a reimbursement program or a percentage. Some companies have discount programs with colleges. So definitely ask your employer, or if you're looking for a job, ask them whenever you're interviewing if they do anything to help for furthering your education. So overall, we really just want to make sure students are aware that they need to file the FAFSA. Even though there's been some delays and some negative news out there about the FAFSA lately, it's really not that scary. And we promise that we're here to help you. So if you're in that situation where you haven't filed yet, please ask for help. Don't just push it aside and think, well, I don't know that I'm going to college, or I'm not sure that this is going to work for me, just ask for help and we will help you through the process. If you file the FAFSA and end up waiting a little bit to get registered or decide where you're going to college, again, it's a free application. So there's no harm in filing it so you can see what your options are. Reach out to the guidance office at your school. They are a wealth of knowledge on the FAFSA and helping students make good decisions as far as outside scholarship opportunities, or walking you through the process, or putting you in touch with other representatives that can help file the FAFSA or your FAFSA questions. You can always reach out to Penn Highlands. So we're here, we're a community college, and we're here to help all of the students. So whether you're interested in Penn Highlands or you're not sure what you want to do, it doesn't matter. We will help you file the FAFSA regardless of your college plans. There's no appointment needed with us. We're available throughout the summer from Monday to Thursday, and we can help in person. You can just come in and see us in the Richland location. We can do a Zoom appointment and do everything virtually, or we could just be on the phone. If you want to file the FAFSA and just have a person on the phone to walk you through that process, we are available to do that as well. Also, reach out to FIA. They have a great resource online at FIA.org. Julie Fontana has probably been in most, if not all of your schools, giving information about the FAFSA and financial aid. She's also offering to do virtual FAFSA completion days on Wednesday, the whole month of May. And you can reach out to her directly. She will set up an appointment with you, or you can go to their website. They have a lot of tutorials about different FAFSA resources and help if you just want to navigate that online on yourself. So maybe you already filed the FAFSA, and if you have, that's great. We can help you, see what you're eligible for. We can walk you through the whole process. We can go over any financial aid you might be eligible for, as long as you put Penn Highlands on your FAFSA, so we can kind of go over everything with you. We can go line by line to explain all of the financial aid that you could be eligible for by filing the FAFSA. But maybe you filed the FAFSA and you got an email after you filed it saying that there was a correction needed. Some students and parents, it's an electronic signature, and that was one of the glitches a little earlier in the application process, is that students and parents, some, not all, but some were not asked to electronically sign the form. So now you have to go in and make a correction, or maybe something didn't match and it's asking you to go in and make a correction to some of your income information. Reach out to us, reach out to your guidance office, reach out to FIA. Just don't let it sit there. We just want to make sure that we're helping students complete their FAFSA. So if a correction is needed, we all can help you go in and make those corrections. And it's a very simple process. We just need to help you walk through it if you have questions. So that's kind of the biggest takeaway, is I just want to make sure students are aware that we're all here to help you and make it a simple process. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt now, so he can kind of go over some of the additional ways that you can save when going to college.
Thanks, Ashley. At Penn Highlands, we have more than 30 academic programs for you to choose from, and they range from programs that allow you to graduate in 2 years and find immediate employment, as well as programs that allow you to graduate in 2 years and then transfer off to a 4-year college or university, whether that's local or somewhere across the state of Pennsylvania or even outside of the state of Pennsylvania. And Penn Highlands offers significant additional ways that you can save money that aren't technically financial aid, because they don't come directly from the FAFSA. However, they are financial aid in the sense that they help cover the costs of your education in one way or another. The first, excuse me, is the ACE Bridge Scholarship. This is new this year, and this gives students an opportunity, particularly students who have taken Penn Highlands dual enrollment courses. If you've taken dual enrollment courses and have passed those courses with a C or better, you automatically become eligible for the ACE Bridge Scholarship. And this is a scholarship that is for 1 year and can take anywhere up to $1,000 off of your tuition for the first year. Essentially, this is a way to help pay for your college now by indirectly reimbursing you for the cost of dual enrollment, the expenses that you paid for dual enrollment while you were in high school. The college also has a foundation, which is the nonprofit wing of the college that does fundraising and collects money that is specifically designated to go back to students to help with the affordability of college. So while Penn Highlands already is extremely affordable without any kind of financial aid, we also offer additional foundation scholarships. There's 21 exactly, or to be exact, scholarships that we award yearly. Students have to complete a scholarship application and submit that, and then we have a committee that reviews the applicants and determines who is eligible to receive those scholarships. Some are based on your county of residence, some are based on your academic program of interest, some are based on your year, whether you're a freshman or a sophomore. But there are many different opportunities in there, and almost everybody should qualify for at least one or multiple of those. Additionally, this is not something that's going to benefit you in the short term, but would benefit you at the point of transfer. Penn Highlands participates as a community college. We participate in the PASHE system to award 2 full ride scholarships to a state school in Pennsylvania. So every year, 2 of our students are selected to be able to transfer to any state school in the state of Pennsylvania. And when we talk about the state schools, we're talking about IUP, Clarion, Slippery Rock, and so on and so forth. Penn State and the Pitt system, for example, are not state schools. They are not part of the PASHE system. They are state aligned. They are not state schools. But the students who are awarded these 2 scholarships are given the opportunity to choose which state school they attend, and they will receive a full tuition scholarship. Now, this doesn't cover room and board, but it does cover the tuition. So that's significant money that can be saved by coming to the community college first. Additionally, we offer military benefits, just as most colleges do. We are a GI Jobs military friendly school. We focus our efforts on trying to do the best that we possibly can for our military veterans and their children who may qualify for those benefits. And some of those can be rather significant, all the way up to potentially covering your entire cost of tuition. And then outside of the college, there are community scholarships. And Ashley touched on this briefly, in that there are organizations in your community that may offer some scholarships, and your guidance department would be a great resource for you to find these different scholarships. And we do occasionally receive information here at the college as well. And we track that information. And so if you were to call us and ask about that, we should be able to provide you with a few different options that are within your community. On a different note, kind of back to the ways that you can save in the long run. If you come to Penn Highlands, of course, you're going to save significant money upfront because our tuition is very low, and we don't have dorms, as Ashley mentioned, so there is no room and board fee. We don't have meal plans that are required, so there's no food that you have to, meal plan that you have to purchase. And so you obviously save on the front end by doing a community college. However, you also can put yourself in a position to earn better scholarships at the next 4-year college and university by building up your resume and putting yourself in a good academic situation, which again could lead to anything up to a full ride scholarship like the PASHE. Our 2+2 programs offer you the opportunity to come to Penn Highlands for 2 years and then transfer out to a 4-year college or university and finish that degree in 2 years, an additional 2 years. And then we have 3+1 programs, and this is really a great way to save money because you can come to Penn Highlands for 3 years and then transfer off to a select number of colleges and universities. St. Francis University and Seton Hill University are our 2 biggest partners with regard to 3+1 programs. And there are many of our academic programs that fall in line with this. And why it's so beneficial is multifaceted. first of all, you're staying at Penn Highlands for 3 years and paying significantly less in that third year than you would if you were at that partner institution for that third year. And second of all, you are not paying room and board at that institution. And third of all, the final portion, the final year is typically online for these 3+1 programs. So again, whenever you are to transfer off to one of these partner schools for the fourth year, you don't have to necessarily physically go to their campus. And again, that can save you the room and board costs. So with these 2+2 and 3+1 programs, I mentioned St. Francis and Seton Hill are two of our partners. We also have more than 200 articulation agreements, and that's just a fancy term for partnerships with different colleges and universities across the state of Pennsylvania and even outside of the state of Pennsylvania that allow you to directly transfer your credits. There are 2+2 programs. There are programs where you can do your core credits with us. Those are credits that don't necessarily pertain to your major, and you can transfer those to the next college or university. And then there are the 3+1 programs. So there are a lot of different opportunities that exist. And while these aren't technically financial aid, these are significant ways that you can save money so that your financial aid goes further and allows you to graduate with a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree or both with significantly less student debt. So with that being said, we are going to kind of talk about a few very quick frequently asked questions that we have received. And so I have a couple of those here, and I'm going to pose those to Ashley and allow her to give her input on those. So Ashley, are you ready for this?
Yep, you can go ahead.
Okay, so oftentimes in the admissions office, we hear students say that their parents make too much money, or the parents will say this, we make too much money. So I'm not going to qualify for any financial aid, and I'm not going to file the FAFSA. Should they, in that situation, file the FAFSA?
Yes, so we hear that a lot too. When we're talking to parents, they'll say, they don't want to take the time to file the FAFSA because they don't think that they'll qualify for any financial aid due to their income. And we always encourage that you should always file the FAFSA. Number one, they have changed the methodology starting for this upcoming fall. So the 24-20 FAFSA, which is open now that we want you to file. The Department of Ed did change the methodology a little bit. So some students who may not have qualified for a Pell Grant may qualify now based off of this new determination through the Department of Ed. Number two, all students, regardless of income, are eligible for those federal direct loans that we talked about a little bit earlier. What type of loan, whether it's a subsidized or unsubsidized, could be dependent on income, but at least you would be starting, have a foot in there for some sort of financial aid. So, but you have to file the FAFSA first. And also some of those outside scholarships and some college scholarships require you to file the FAFSA in order to receive that additional outside scholarship. So you always want to file the FAFSA. Again, it's free, so it doesn't hurt to do that because it may end up benefiting you and you didn't even realize it.
And oftentimes we hear students say, well, whenever I graduate high school, I'm moving out on my own. I'm getting my own place and I'm going to be working full time. Do I still have to include my parents on the FAFSA?
Yes. So for the most part, you do. So the Department of Education says until a student is 24, there's some other kind of ways you can be independent. So it's very student specific, but for the most part, if you're under 24, even if you are, working full time or living in an apartment and not living with a parent, you are so required to have your parents' information put on the FAFSA. And these are great questions that if you're not sure when you go to file the FAFSA, that your guidance office or a financial aid office would be able to walk you through these questions when you go to file the FAFSA. If you have a special circumstance or something like that, we can help you with that process and filing. But for the most part, if you're under 24, even if you aren't living with a parent, you will still have to put your parents' information on the FAFSA.
One more, actually a couple more quick ones here. Should I wait until I'm accepted to file the FAFSA?
No. So some students we've heard as well say, well, I'm not sure where I'm going yet, or I have a couple schools in mind. like I said earlier, you can put up to 20 schools on the FAFSA, and I would just file the FAFSA, put as many schools as you're thinking of. So if you have, 6 schools in mind, but you're not exactly sure what you're doing, file the FAFSA, put all of them on there, and that way you don't miss out for some of the state grant funds that do have an earlier deadline. Because the last thing you want to do is miss out on additional funds because you were waiting until you decided where you wanted to go to college. There's never any harm in filing it, but there is a harm in waiting too long because you'll miss out on grant funds.
Okay, and I'm going to just switch over to a couple questions that often come to the admissions office that are more admissions related, but again, they relate to financial aid because it can help students to determine if a two-year college is for them. Do credits from Penn Highlands transfer off to other colleges and universities? And as I mentioned before, the answer is yes, and it's a resounding yes. Our credits are very transferable. We're accredited by Middle States of America, which is the same accrediting body as the vast majority of four-year institutions in our region. So the idea behind accreditation is making sure that your education is up to quality and everything that you're doing is on par with what the other colleges are doing. And so, yes, our credits do transfer. We have more than 200 plus partnerships with colleges and universities for different academic programs. It's also interesting to note that a lot of our faculty actually teach part-time at the local four-year colleges around us. And so they are our full-time instructors, but they are also teaching at some of the local colleges nearby. And so very clearly, some of the education you're receiving here is the exact same as education you are receiving at the four-year institutions. And then one final question to finish this out. How does starting at Penn Highlands save you money? And I touched on this a little bit, but I want to recap. You don't have room and board. So you don't have those expenses. And oftentimes at four-year colleges and universities, the room and board is more expensive than the tuition itself. And room and board generally is not subject to scholarship. So when you hear students say they get a full ride, more often than not, that full ride is covering their tuition. It's not covering their room and board. So that's an expense that oftentimes cannot be alleviated other than through financial aid opportunities. We don't have that, so you don't have to worry about alleviating that expense. Our tuition is by design significantly lower than most four-year colleges and universities. It's the model of the community college. It's accessible. And whenever you come to the community college, you're putting yourself in a position to build upon your high school resume or kind of get a fresh start and get that opportunity to rebuild or rework your resume so that your academic portfolio is stronger, putting you in a better position to receive more scholarships at the four-year institutions than maybe you were able to receive whenever you were graduating from high school. And so all of those combined put you in a position where you can save significant money, and by the time you graduate, you'll have less debt than you might have in other opportunities. So with that being said, that's all I have. Ashley, do you have anything else to throw in?
I do not. I think that's it. I just want to make sure we are students and reach out to us if you have any questions. We can help you navigate the FAFSA process or admissions process. If you're unsure or if you're interested in higher education, we can help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashley, and thank you so much to all of you who are watching this. We appreciate it, and we hope you have a great rest of your academic year. Thank you.